And away we go. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. It's time for Three Guys Before the Game. Oh, have I ever said this before? We got a dandy for you here today.
Here's the thing. You might need to just stop saying that. I think it's a given. If you hear the music, what follows next is we've got a dandy for you. We don't put any non-dandies on here.
No, exactly. I mean, you can't be a B-lister. You got to be an A-lister. We got yourselves an A-lister. A guy that I think is one of the most unheralded Mountaineers ever in Mountaineer basketball history. Fair?
Very fair. Might be top of that list.
Might be the top. We'll tell you about it. Tyrone Sally is our very special guest, and Three Guys Before the Game is brought to you by Burdett Camping Center, the only RV warranty forever provider in the state of West Virginia. They serve Mountaineer fans from every single corner. That means Weirton to Welch, Martinsburg to Matewan, and all points in between. 40 years plus in business. You don't stay open that long if you're not doing it the right way. So when it comes to RVs, parts, service, sales, they got you. Located in Winfield, visit them at the website, burdettcamping.com. Here's the deal. When you buy an RV from Burdett Camping Center, like there's RVs, then there's a Burdett Camping RV. So if you go to the lots during tailgating, right, people like instantly go, that's a Burdett Camping RV. That's an RV from a schmo dealer. That's an RV from Burdett Camping. That's how they do it. That's a Burdett Camping, right?
And they're obvious.
They're obvious.
Top of the line.
It stands out.
Sure.
That's what you get. So if you're in the RV world, by the way, I saw a thing this week, and RV sales have skyrocketed because
of this program?
Well, partly that and COVID. The two reasons, but RV sales have skyrocketed. So if you're in the market, burdettcamping.com, check them out. If you're going to drive down there, just put in your GPS, Route 34 and 817. That's where it meets there in
Perfect.
Winfield.
Very easy.
Right there. Ladies and gentlemen, we are thrilled. We're excited. We're happy. We're fun. This is a guy that we've talked about a bunch on other episodes when we talk Mountaineer basketball, and really, really happy to be able to get him on with us. Please welcome to the program, Tyrone Sally. Sally.
What's going on, fellas?
How are you, buddy? How are you?
I'm good. I can't complain. How about yourself?
Nothing. Anything that we've said so far, we're all good. Anything I've said so far that surprised you? You know you're one of my all-time favorite Mountaineers.
No, I was asking. I want to ask, can I get a recording so I can put on my voicemail?
Oh yeah, you're getting
my
this.
ringtone.
Oh yeah, you're getting this.
I appreciate the intro.
Yeah, absolutely.
He holds the title. This is an unofficial title. I don't know. There's a trophy for this. The unofficial title of most mentions on this podcast without actually appearing himself on the podcast.
Yes, I
Fair?
would agree with that. Yeah, because it's always like we're talking about something. And Tyrone Sally.
Remember Tyrone
Sally.
And remember when Tyrone Sally did this?
Sally did this. Yeah. I mean, we've talked about you when you made huge plays. We've talked about you when you had the flu. I mean, we've talked about the whole. Yeah. Oh, I remember. I remember. Here, let me tell you the first time I ever remember seeing you. I'm gonna put a smile on your face. You ready?
Okay.
You had that massive M&M's varsity jacket on. You remember that?
Oh man, yeah, I remember that, man.
So this is the first time I saw you was in Richmond, West Virginia, Richmond, NIT game. Coach Beeline's coaching for Richmond. You and Jonathan Hargett were watching, and you're standing up and like we're pointing up there and go, see the dude with the M&M's jacket on?
Isn't that something?
That's Tyrone Sally. He's coming.
And thank God he still came after that game.
Yeah, we got.
That was a bad Mountaineer moment there. We should move on from that. That was a tough moment.
Oh my goodness.
Wow,
Who would have
great memory?
Huh? Who would have ever? You remember the M&M's jacket?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it was
I
nice.
definitely do.
That was nice. Who would have ever thought the way that turned out? Right, you're there watching West Virginia, Richmond. John Beeline's up and down the sideline for Richmond. They dissect WVU. You come to WVU, and then you put together some of the all-time great Mountaineer memories playing for John Beeline.
Yeah, that's crazy in itself. I remember actually going to that game and watching them and like, oh man, I'm sure I want to do this. I want to go there. But it was crazy because, being a local kid, I knew John Beeline being a great coach, but the way I just never saw myself going to Richmond. I could never see myself passing the ball 30 times, waiting till 5 to shoot the ball, guys getting backcourt. It was effective, but I would come from style pressing, trapping, with nobody throwing. I don't think it was more than 2 people that can dunk on the team at a time. And, it just looked awkward. And
Yeah. Okay, so let's follow that through. Let's follow that through then. So you would think you would be the first guy once John Beilein gets named the head coach at West Virginia to go, fellas, I love you, but I'll see you because there's no way I'm playing this way, but you didn't do that.
oh man, yeah, it's definitely a backstory to that. So with that going through my freshman year after that 8-20 year, man, it was a lot of chaos after that because I had like 3 coaches in my
Yes.
Yes.
before my first
Yep.
year.
Yes.
So
Coach
fast
Catlett,
forward,
Coach Catlett, Dan
Drew-
Dockich
Dan
for a
Catlett.
week.
Well, Drew Catlett.
Right,
Well, I forgot about
and
Drew.
then
You really had 4, Tyrone. You're right. Drew Catlett took
exactly
over.
right,
Then Dockich, then Beilein comes in. All right, go ahead.
right, and then his announcement came that John Beilein was coming to coach. I laughed to myself like this can't be real. Like, like I avoided this man all my high school career. Told everybody I would never go to Richmond, to go and play. But granted, Richmond was a great school, it's still a great school. But to see him, I was like, man, I cannot get away from him. And after the press conference, he took us all in the back room, introduced himself, and he came to me. He smiled and shook my hand and like, I finally got you, Ty. I couldn't do nothing but laugh at it, but it was a great moment. We had great memories there.
Wow. Let's go back even before that because obviously, as you said, you came in on the 8-20 season. And that was an incredibly wild year in the sense that you guys got off to a really good start. You were 7-2. I don't know if you remember that or not, but you guys were 7-2, and you won a couple of games late. You won the game at Tennessee. You won the game in the pit in New Mexico. And things were going really well, 7-2, and then Christmas break, and then right out of Christmas, I think it might have been Christmas Day, we left. And we go to play in the Fiesta Bowl tournament in Tucson, and you talk about the wheels coming off the bus. Everything exploded. When you think back to those times, firstly, did you think you guys had something figured out at 7-2 when you were cranking it? And then what happened in Arizona?
Oh yeah, we're coming in. That was one of the main like big reasons I came in just from the year the guys had last year. I think we won 17 games before that, and then we had guys like Chris Smalls, Lionel Armstead, Josh Shager, Tim Lyles was going to be there coming in. So we know we had a good group coming in with Drew Shafino's scoring machine out of Pittsburgh. We had Chaz Briggs, JUCO All-American. I think he was the #1 player coming out. He was actually coming off a championship that year. And John Hargett. I mean, it speaks for itself. Like he was most talented guard in the country that time. So we was on a pretty good roll. We like you said, we started out 7-2. I think after the New Mexico trip, it just seemed like it was a lot of chemistry issues going on, and it just seemed like we just couldn't put it together after that.
All right, so let's jump in here a little bit. I'm not going to let you go with just chemistry issues. Give me a little bit more than just chemistry issues. What was it? Were there cliques that were forming? Was there tension? What was the deal?
Yeah, most definitely, because being the young guys, you kind of we kind of fed into the hype because we felt like we as a new wave we supposed to been playing, and the older guys they was already established, and the seniors doing what they supposed to do, set the example and show us how it's supposed to do. So I think it was a little chaos going on with that, going back and forth, and I think at the time it just things just got away from itself, and with things like that, especially playing against the Big East, you gotta be on the same page at all times. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it went down here from there.
So even though it started hot, as Tony just said, couple last-second victories, Hargett hitting that shot against Tennessee, we all remember that. You could feel it starting to fracture earlier, as early as New Mexico, which was Game 3. You could feel that those clicks were developing, and it may cause some issues down the road.
Yeah, I mean, it was that time in the tournament where it was a situation where I'm gonna say like Jonathan Hargett, he actually missed the team bus going down there, so we was actually down there without him, and the coaching staff already put it out there like, look, we don't got John, so he's not gonna be playing with this tournament. So, we just gotta buckle down, do what we gotta do. I think we actually won the first. We actually won the first game, and then, the next day, we in the team meeting. John's there. Everybody looking around like, yo, how you get down here? So after that, it seemed like it wrinkled a lot of feathers down there. So after that, it was like everybody. Then that's when the actual clique start forming and start separating each other.
Yeah, I think the same thing. I think that was always the thing that kind of blew things up. Let me give you a little line on that. This will even refresh your memory. He never missed the first game. He was there for Southern Miss. He was there, came off the bench, played 19 minutes. He went 3 for 11. But I agree with you, Tyrone. I always felt that was the thing that they went like, wait a second, the older guys, how's this working here? And that is what began the crack. And the crack got bigger.
Which I understand. I will understand. I know if I'm seeing coming in, we has a lot of expectations. I mean, we was supposed to make at least a Sweet 16 run that year. And for have a freshman come in and, they glorify him like that, I would feel some type of way too.
Yeah. And then I think you guys collectively just lost everything as far as confidence goes in Arizona. First game, Valparaiso, 76-57. Next game, Pepperdine, 97-65. Next game, St. John's, 72-53. So you take not just 3 losses in a row, you take 3 losses that leave a lingering effect that goes, oh my gosh, this is horrible, and that you guys never bounced back.
Yeah, so I mean, it was like the snowball effect rolling down the hill.
Yeah,
it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger to the point it just spread out of control, and nobody could stop it. Only thing could stop it was the last game of the season. That's the only thing that stopped that. That was it.
That would take care of it. Yeah.
So,
right.
Ty, take us back to that time. Let's fast forward. So it's coming down the stretch. Coach Catlett has taken a leave of absence. Drew is there. The thing's off the rails. You're losing games. You're getting drilled. What's in your mind at that point as the season starts to close out?
Honestly, towards the end, it was like, all right, what do I got to do to get better? Like, what can I do to fix it? Like, what's my job to do? Like, do I gotta get stronger? Do I become a better shooter? Do I become a better basketball player overall? Like, what do I do basketball wise? Mentally, it was taking a toll on me. Being a young kid, my first year in college, I think it was the Virginia Tech game we was playing, and it was a game that we was losing. We was losing a lot of games, but I mean, if you was going off how we played the first half, I mean, we probably won going 18 games. I mean, we all played good in the first half, but the second half we could never put two halves together. But still with the Virginia Tech game, I think it was at the end of the game. We was in the locker room waiting for the coaches to come in, and they normally come in and talk to us and brief us how the game went, getting ready for practice tomorrow. And Drew Catlett came back there and said, guys, they take a shower, go home, we'll contact you tomorrow. We found that kind of weird. So we're like, all right, okay. So I get to my room, back in my dorm, and I look at the TV, and I look at the ESPN ticket and said, Gail Catlett retired. I was like, nah, this can't be real. So then I heard a knock at my door. It was Drew Shafino. I was like, yo, you seen Drew, Coach Catlett retired? I was like, yeah, man. So then it just put your mindset at, oh, man, what's next? What's going to happen next? Yeah. So, just being confused, it just, only thing you can do at the time, just try to focus on the court, focus on basketball, what you need, and try to block everything else. But it's hard. It's hard being 18 years old going through all that.
Well, it really is. And quite honestly, nowadays, kids, they would have been in the transfer portal faster than you could say transfer portal. So what's really super interesting to me is that even because you had this really poor season and there's a coaching change, you didn't do it. Instead, you're telling us that you're going like, okay, what do I need to do to get better? What was that period like once that happened and the season came to an end? So you guys got to be talking to each other. What were you guys saying, thinking?
Well, during that time, it seemed like we got closer. When I say closer, I'm talking about, the underclassmen. It was mostly me, Drew, Chaz Briggs, and just Jonathan. We just became like closer because now it's like we all we got. We came in together. We gonna lead together. So we would go to the rec, try to go to the weight room, just keep that chemistry, try to build up chemistry and going, like, whoever comes in, like, we gotta be ready. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna be our team. Let's do this. Then Dan Dickey came in. Oh man. So when he got there, he set the terms, like, real aggressive, saying like this is the way it's gonna be. If you don't like it, you can hit the road. Tomorrow we got weights at 6:30. So at the time, it was me, Drew Shafino, Juice, rest in peace, Derek Price.
Yeah.
We lived in dorms. We didn't have the weight room at the Coliseum yet. We had the weight room at the football stadium. And anybody know back then, we had to take the PRT. Anybody don't know what the PRT is? It's like the little cereal boxes that you transport people place to place. So PRT didn't start running till 6 o'clock. So we had to get to the PRT hoping we can get on the first one. And the next stop that's close to the football stadium is at the hospital. Anybody don't know what a hospital, you have to walk across that big parking lot to get to the parking lot, then walk across the football parking lot to get to the front door. So we walked in there at 6:30, and the first thing coach tell us to get out. I mean, of course, it was more French words than that. I'm giving you the PG version of it. But he told us to get out. Then the assistant coach ran us down. He told us, come to the office later so we can talk. So I talked to coach one-on-one. He was like, look, you need to get on board. If you don't want to be here, leave. You want to be here, you got to go to the weight room for your punishment. So I get down to the weight room, talk to strength conditioning, and he was just shaking his head like, what's wrong? What's going on? He said, well, for you to stay on this team, you had to do wall six for 30 minutes with a 45-pound weight sitting on your thighs, and hold out a 25-pound weight in front of you for 30 minutes straight. I said, man, this man is crazy. But I did it because I wanted to be part of the team, and I saw the bigger picture. And then the next morning, he said he was leaving.
And you said what at that point?
I said a couple French words myself, but I was like, I'm here. Like this is where I'm at. This is, who's next? Who's gonna step up and take us on next? That was my mindset.
So still no thought of transferring at this point. You're still digging in, saying, I chose this school. I am staying at this school. Who's the coach? Let's go. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere.
That was the mindset.
Wow.
That was the mindset.
That's strong.
That is strong because I don't know.
Strong.
Ty, I'll be honest. I don't know. There's a lot of guys through all of that 7 months of turmoil would have just sat down and said, all right, I'm here. Who's coming in with me?
Right. It just like I just turned my mind off and just was focusing on what my end place was going to be. Like I knew something was down there. Like he's not putting me through all this just for me to quit right here. So I just took it as motivation. I just took it as a challenge every time something like that came my way.
And then the guy that comes in is John Beeline, who you said, I'm not going to the school where he is to play.
See,
here comes Beeline. Now, did that first meeting, you mentioned that's a pretty cool way to meet him, where he says, I finally got you. Did that help break the ice for you? Did that help say to you, okay, let's give this a chance and see if I can fit into what he wants to do?
Well, yeah, it did. It did. It put me at ease a little bit because I didn't know, like, as him being a coach, I didn't know he gonna have any type of animosity to me as, oh, this guy ain't want to come play for me. So, I'm gonna get somebody else to replace him or whatever. So him coming to present himself to me like that, it meant a lot. It put me at ease. But the one time I actually did feel like transferring is when we had our one-on-one meeting. When he was going off how I'd be a perfect fit. He was telling me how I could play this position and that. And then he ended it, well, yeah, because we want to play you at the 4. I said, the 4? I said, yeah, this guy crazy. He haven't seen a Big East game ever in his life. If he think I'm going to be matching up with Mike Sweetney, Troutman.
Good Sweetney reference.
Sweetney,
just for those that may not remember, 6'9", about 280.
377 pounds.
He was a
my God.
beast. Yeah.
He's a big dude.
I got on the phone with my mom that night. I said, Mom, I don't know. I don't know about this one. And when you talk to your mom, most moms be, oh, don't worry about it, baby. You be okay. And, to work through it. Her first question was, well, are you scared? So I said, no. And she said, what's the problem? I was like, Mom, he want me to play the 4. Like, I might die playing the 4 in the Big East. She was like, get through it. So I hung up. I was mad. Oh man, well, you know what? She's right. Get through it. It's a test. So it's a challenge. So I took it on as a challenge, and my motivation was proving her, it's like, I'm not scared. Like, what's she calling me scared for? Like, are you serious? Scared? So I used that, and it helped me. It helped me out to get through it. But yeah, that was the only time that I actually thought about transferring.
We often talk on this program, Tyrone, about those exact type of one-time conversations that turn someone's focus and then they just use it as motivation. We've had it with Owen Schmidt. We've had it with so many different people. There's always that one thing where your mom went like, well, you scared? And you went, scared? I'm not scared. And that just like took you, look what would not have happened in your life had you went like, yeah, I think I am. I need to check out.
Or if she would have said, yeah, Ty, you're right. Come on home. Transfer closer to home here. Come with us. Right?
Exactly.
That would have changed the whole course of your life.
Yeah, exactly. Would have. It definitely would have. And who knows how that would have ended.
So John gets here. And did you ever play like AAU at the Robbins Center? I would think at some point you had to be at some point play there. Had he sneaked and watched you before?
Well, it's a time where every year, team like college, they throw camps and everything.
Yeah.
And it was me and a couple of AAU guys that went to the camp, and I stood out. Like, I think my team won the championship. I like the camp MVP and things like that. So like every now and then he'll come over there, like we doing drills. He'll give me pointers and show interest.
Right.
Take he's saying that he's seeing me, he liked me. So I think that was my first interaction with Coach Beeline.
Yeah. So how did you get through? So his playing 4 for him is a lot different than playing a conventional 4, right? So I would imagine once you guys got on the floor and he showed you what the 4 did, you kind of went like, okay, I get this a little bit better. Is that true or not?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. So like I said, coming out, I was worried about playing the 4 because the way we played my freshman year, we had two bangers down low with Chris Moss and John Oliver, set pick and rolls and stuff. So that's my mindset. But once we got out there, it's more of like a 4-out 1-in. We ran the 2-guard offense. So So once we got into things, I was like, all right, okay, yeah, I can do this. Yeah, this okay, this is me. I can do this. So going into it, I did not know how complex it was because watching it, you just see guys just run to a spot, going back door, shooting 3. I didn't know it was 30 options of each play off of it. So, that took a little getting used to, but we adapted, and the great thing about it, we all was new to it, so we was all learning at once.
Yeah.
So it made it better. So you won't the only person messing up out there, but he didn't necessarily get on you, but he just know how to correct you and build your confidence up into it. So that made it very easy.
When he started to give you his terminology, I would imagine there had to be a couple of times that you turned your head and just giggled when he started talking about, Sesame Street characters and like donuts and this and that. You guys got to be, what in the heck is this? Did you have that moment?
Oh, all the time, all the time. It took moments where he let people get their stuff together because we looked at each other like, what is this guy talking about? And what did he put in his coffee this morning? So it was time, but being so real, it helps because sometimes you get in the game, heated moments, you forget the option, but you hear the word donut, it rings a bell. So the donut is a term for the back door. So it helped, but at the time, it's definitely amusing for sure.
Okay, so Ty, if you knew early on in the 8-20 season that things may have the potential to go off the rails on that New Mexico trip, which was early in the season, game 3-ish, 2003, Coach Beilein's first year, Game 4, you beat Florida in Charleston, a big win for the program. When did you start to see, okay, this has a chance here? Because you guys were still so young at that time. Could you see early on that you had a chance to be good, or was it not there and not evident at that point yet?
Oh man, yeah, we were so young. I think that Florida game definitely added a lot of confidence to us. I mean, we were just still a young group just trying to figure it out, just basically still trying to learn how to play with each other, let alone trying to win games. And that game, we actually really put it together. That was probably one of our first games. We actually put it all together, and it we came out real successful in that. And I think that definitely set a tone for how good we could be. Like we knew we wasn't there yet, but it set a tone that what we could be down the line.
Yeah. I'm gonna let our listeners remember what that roster was. So this was the roster for the Florida game. Chaz Briggs, Patrick Beeline, Tyrone Sally, J.D. Collins, Nick Patella, Juice Price, Drew Shafino, Josh Yeager, Johannes Herbear, Jonathan Curran, Kevin Pittsnagel. There's a lot of FRs, freshmen, on that roster right there. And then there's a bunch of sophomores as well. So you're right. It was a process, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just coming in, this is the first year trying to learn the two guard offense. I mean, we just barely nipping the iceberg on it. And we had success sometimes, but it was a lot of times we messed up and we just had to figure it out on our own out there. But we had a hope, like you said, we had young guys that was hungry, trying to prove themselves because I mean, we wasn't the most talented bunch out there, but we worked hard. Everybody always brought the hard hat and their lunch pouch to practice and the games. So that we made up for a lot of mistakes that we did with that.
You're in the coaching business now. And for those that don't know, you're coaching high school ball with another former Mountaineer in Daryl Prue. So you're wearing a different hat now from a coaching perspective. Looking back on it, you guys spend time now building chemistry on a team, try to get everyone to do the same thing. Why and how was John Beeline and Jeff Neubauer and Matt Brown and that first staff, I guess Mike Jones was there as well, how did they completely turn culture from your coaching, with your coaching hat on? How were they able to do it?
Um, Trust. They came in, they put all the cards on the table. Like they let us know, like, look, everybody can get a fair opportunity. We in this just like y'all are. So you willingness to trust us, we're gonna do everything we can. And just building a culture of, we was coming up in the time was, it's me first. Like everybody like about the one on one and isolation. But they established a team unity and more like a brotherhood, a family oriented type or what can I say, like bonding.
Yeah. Yeah.
We always did stuff off the court as we did on the court. Like that team was so close. Even when we just get to know each other, like we used to hang out off the court. So I think that built chemistry on his own. So and he bought and that on the coach that bought that to the team. So that definitely helped tremendously.
Would it be a fair statement, too, that you watching what happened click-wise the year before and seeing the young guys separate from the older guys, did that factor into you the next year? Because I would have think it'd be easy for you. I know you're only a sophomore at the time, but you're kind of an old guy. Here comes all these freshmen that Coach Beeline brought in. I would think that had to take something inside of you to say, hey, I'm not letting what happened last year happen with me and these guys. Fair?
Oh, absolutely fair. Yeah, because that even though that freshman year was like that, it grew me up and I learned so much from that year. I learned what works and what did not learn. I mean, I learned a whole lot that what did not work, especially the separated group. So I didn't ever wanted that to happen. So my take on it was like a lot of guys don't like to be yelled at or called out in front. So my thing was more of, I see a problem, I'll go address that person, man to man, how people say it. So I never wanted the team, like, I mean, of course, in any workplace or an environment, everybody not gonna like everybody. But to make something work, we had to all get along. And I was just fortunate enough my last 3 years that everybody liked each other. I mean, that's very rare. So I think it just made things easier. I mean, of course you're gonna have your problems and your wrinkles and stuff, but I just didn't want it to get to the point where it's just separated.
See,
We did
that
a good
right
job in that.
that right there, that's what I think is the underreported part of Tyrone's career.
I was just going to say the same thing.
He was a leader the whole time, but I don't know that was ever publicly well known that you were leading from within. Is that fair? And I think that's why he comes up all the time now, and all these guys say, Tyrone did this, Tyrone said this, Tyrone did this.
Yeah, chill. He was, you know what it was? He was the chill leader.
Yeah.
Like he was totally, you were totally chill, but I forget who it was. We had someone on, might have been Gansey, where he was trying to learn the system when he first came in, and you would quietly go over to him and kind of go like, okay, it's this and it's this, but like not, hey, look at me, I'm the leader. You were kind of just like, hey, man, in your personality, you were who you are, which is quiet, and you don't try to look for the spotlight, but yet you were invaluable to those guys that needed that help.
And that drew them to you.
Yeah, exactly. That's why, yeah. That's
right.
why.
Well, yeah, so with that being said, I just felt like if I knew my guy that's next to me knew I had the confidence in him to be everything he can be and more, I figured I'd go step my game up too. Because I know what I'm going to bring to the table every game. If I can just bring somebody else with me and he fill off that energy and he brings somebody else with him, it'll make everything go well.
Yeah.
See, that's coaching. Did you think about coaching at that point, or that's just what you did? Because you sound exactly like a coach right there.
Well, I can definitely word it better now, just from a coach perspective. But during then, it was natural. It's a natural thing, you know. That's why I brought up. That's how I brought up when I played in high school. So I figured I'd bring the same thing, especially after my freshman year, because more coming in, I kind of took the step back because, you know, I was trying to learn. You know, we had seniors, we had captains. You know, I was trying to learn. But then coming in as sophomore, like you said, I was one of like so-called older guys, so I felt it was my responsibility to step in that place or step in that light to get that guidance.
I'd like to talk with you about two players in particular right now that did not finish their careers. First off, Jonathan Hargett, who was a friend of yours, as you said early on, came in as one of the most heralded recruits in school history. He only plays one season. How good was he?
Oh, man. John, to this day, probably, and I played 9 years professionally after West Virginia. John is still hands down the best player I played against and played with. I mean, this guy was so talented. Like, he had potential, and, you know, on some radars that he can go straight from high school. I mean, that was unheard of for a 6-foot guard. I mean, I'm being nice. He was more 5'10".
Yeah.
But his talent-wise, I mean, me and John actually played a year in high school together where he was the best player featured on a team where he had Jarrett Jack, NBA player, and Amari Stoudemire. I mean, that's how talented that guy was. It was just unfortunate how his college career had to end so shortly like that.
Yeah. I saw him play in high school, Hagerstown, Maryland, St. Maria Goretti, and went up there, and I came back, and I went like, holy cow, right? And it's a doggone shame that it just never happened, never put it all together for him. All right, here's another one of those two guys that didn't finish his career, Drew Schiaffino. How difficult was it for you when he basically got taken off the team?
Oh man, it was hard. It was very hard because, you know, that was, you know, we was going into after we was moving on from John. You know, John was like almost like a brother to me coming to West Virginia. I mean, we knew each other since from back in Richmond. So losing him, you know, it seemed like me and Drew got a tighter bond in that. And Drew was our man. Like, I mean, Drew averaged 20 points in the Big East. And I mean, that's unheard of for us. I mean, you don't get count on your hands how many people did that. And, you know, with that situation, with him leaving, it felt like, man, like I'm really the only one left right here. So it was tough. It was tough, man. But, you know, things happen and you just got to learn how to move on from things.
Yeah. I mean, I remember the night, right? Notre Dame game, he didn't get double figures. He got really mad, and that's what started the whole deal.
Right. It's the start of a whole conflict, and, you know, I understood it, you know, being there with him and grinding, and, you know, that's something that he really took pride in, and he just, you know, being a young kid, emotion get the best of you sometimes.
Yeah.
And, you know, just learning experience.
Yeah, I agree with you. And yet, when he left, you would think, okay, 20 points per game, that's going to take this team backward. Instead, it brought you guys closer together. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah, I definitely think. 'Cause, I mean, like I said, like with the guys we had, we took it as a challenge, and it was another moment where we had to go pick somebody up, and everybody saw the challenge as in front of. I mean, when we lost Drew, I mean that was. I mean, you can't just replace 20 points, but sometimes we managed. We did. It just wasn't one player that stepped up. It was somebody taking that 20 and getting 3 points, me getting 3 points, somebody else getting two. It's a team effort, and we managed it to keep going. And I think with that situation, it actually brought the team even closer.
Can we jump ahead? I've been waiting 40 minutes. I mean,
Go
I
ahead.
can't wait any longer before we talk about Nate
Yeah.
Funk, Creighton, the whole 05 thing. Can we get into that?
Wait, no, that's way too. You're jumping way ahead too early.
I know, but that's season. I got to get to Nate Funk and Creighton. I know we got to talk about the Big East tournament, so you do that because then I want to talk Nate Funk and Creighton.
Well, okay, I'll make it. Jeez, Nate Funk. All right, here we go.
He had one of the most iconic plays in WV history.
We're kind of going in order here. So the
I
second.
know, but that's not what we do on this podcast. We jump. So hurry up. Let's get going.
So you go 18 and 20, then you go 14 and 15, and you showed some signs of life. And you said, okay, it's starting to come together, and that takes us to the 2004 season. And you go up to 17 and 14. You make it to the NIT. Okay, we're in your season now. Go ahead, jump in, Senator. Go ahead. What do you want?
Well, I was pushing to the next season, wasn't I?
All right, wait a second.
But the NIT run was fun that year.
So wait, you went from 8 and 20, and then 2 years later, now you're at 17 and 14. That's a 9-game improvement, and now you guys are kind of going like, hey man, you know what? I think we got a little bit of a chance here. I want to ask you this. Out of the blue comes a kid named Dior Fisher, which was a massive addition to this team. First time you played open gym and Dior's on the floor. Give it to me. What are your memories?
My first memory was, me coming in, I've always made a slasher. So I think I averaged like 3 charges a game just trying to dunk on people. So my first, Coach B hyped him up and say, "Oh man, this guy he can block shots. He might lead the league in block shots." I said, "Oh really?" So my first attempt was going to try to dunk on Dior. And when I tell you Dior put my shot against the backboard, I mean, this guy was so athletic and just so he was just so gifted on both ends of the court. I mean, people actually did not know how gifted Dior. I mean, Dior could shoot. Like Dior didn't shoot many threes, but he can, like, in shooting drills, he could beat some of us in shooting drills.
Yeah.
So I think with Dior with the added Dior, it just brought our defense. I know it brought my defense up because now I can go pressure guys and have somebody behind me that can clean that stuff up. So with Dior, without Dior on our team, we don't make that Elite Eight run. Not at all.
Yeah, I agree. His first game as a Mountaineer, 14 points, 6 rebounds, 8 blocks at James Madison.
Jesus Christ.
How about that? Think about that. So you talk about long. I mean, Sagabal Konate recently, as you well know, was just unbelievable. But He did not have windmills. I mean, like Dior's arms were so crazy. His whole body was just so long. It was amazing.
But just think about roster makeup, though, right? You have him in there as a 7-footer doing that, traditional 7-footer things. You have Pittsnoggle that's right up against 7 foot, drifting outside, bombing threes. I mean, Tyrone, you had to be looking at that just collection of guys. Now you know how to play together. Now you have chemistry. Now you're seeing some wins. You understand the system. There had to be some time in that season, 04, before you get to the Elite Eight run, where you guys started to say, all right, we're dangerous here. We got a bunch of pieces.
Oh, I was excited. I mean, I think first it was like, okay, we can do this. We can play. I don't think it was till we made the NIT run. I mean, we came up short, but after that rookie game, even though we lost, I was like, yeah, we're gonna be a problem next year.
Yeah.
But as long as everybody work and do what they're supposed to do and get better, we gonna be good. And then we bring in Dior Fisher. I was like, we really got a shot at this thing. So it just kept bringing everybody confidence up, and you just felt it. Like we won't right there, but you just felt it. Like if this ball go this way, or if such and such can improve on this, or if Tyrone Sally can finally gain some weight, we're gonna be okay. Like we gonna get there. And I mean, and that's what happened.
Okay, Dior was physically just a unique dude. We give you that. We haven't talked yet about another incredibly unique dude, Kevin Pittsnoggle. I would imagine when you started play with him, you're going like, wait a second, I haven't seen this before.
It was different. I mean, this guy got a slogan now. When you shoot in somebody's face, you say you got Pittsnoggle. I mean, more can say about that. I mean, we've been in games and not alone practices when he pulling up from 30, like it's a free throw. It's like,
and
where
he's
does that
7
come
feet
from?
tall. And he's 7 feet tall.
7 feet tall, a nightmare. I can only imagine what the scouting report looked like on the other teams. Like, I mean, he was just a unique player, and the way we played it fit his game so perfectly.
Yeah.
Like, you coming off down screens and he's fading for 30. I mean, what you gonna do against that?
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. All right.
All right, go. You lead it. Let's go. No, go. You can set it up. I'll jump. I got plenty of questions. You set it up.
Go ahead. Get your
Big East
season.
tournament's coming. We're going to the Big East tournament. 05. Here we go.
He makes a good point at the end of that season. The NIT deal went to Kent State, beat those guys 65-54. Came home, beat Rhode Island 79-72. Jim Barron was coaching. That was a war. That was a battle. For some reason, those NIT games, they just turn into fistfights.
I love
them. Just turn into fistfights. Anyway. Then Rutgers, Patty B missed a shot from the near side corner. That would have tied it at 67, and that didn't happen. So that leads us to the 2005 season, and you guys go from 17 wins. You take another huge jump up. Now it's 24-11. You guys are styling and profiling to start the season. Wins to start the year. St. Peter's, Duquesne, LSU that we need to talk about. Radford, St. Bonaventure, Coppin State, James Madison, New Hampshire, GW, which was a great game. They were 20th in the country. That was right in that Christmas break. Place was that's when you knew that Mountaineer fans had said, we're totally in. That was like an afternoon. Was it a night or an afternoon?
It was afternoon, but it was between Christmas and New Year's.
Middle of the week.
A lot of us were in Jacksonville for the Gator Bowl, and you turn that back on. What do you mean it's sold out?
Yeah.
It sold out Coliseum there.
That was a Wednesday afternoon. I came back up from the bowl to do it, 71-65. And then we're off from December 29 to January 2nd. Day after that bowl game, we go to Raleigh, North Carolina, and did a dissection job, kind of like a doctor goes in and says, I'm going to take this bone out and this bone out. North Carolina State, they still trying to figure out the backdoor cut.
Herb Sendek's still breaking down film, trying to figure out what happened.
That's when you knew. You were like, we got a little something here, 82-69, and you guys are undefeated, and a season that no one's going to forget is underway. And just to kind of put things into perspective, however, you guys got absolutely pistol whipped after the North Carolina State game at Villanova. You were beaten by 677 points. It was like, right, 677-0 was the final score. At Villanova, 84-46, worst loss ever, I think, by a ranked team.
I think that was that ill-fated. They aired that on ESPN Classic, too. Remember? They just had a couple times on Classic, and it just went away.
Crazy, yeah. Yeah, you being too nice. Yeah, that was a bad game.
But then you bounce back, beat St. John's 64-60, and then had losses. See, people don't remember this because I didn't even remember this. 5 straight losses. Yeah. Lost to Marshall, lost to BC, lost to Notre Dame, lost to Syracuse, and lost to Connecticut. 5 straight losses. So at that point, 25th of January, everyone's going like, what up? This is really good. Then you beat Providence 82-78 at their place. And I remember that game as well. I'm going to look at the box because someone made a play late in that game. I forget who went off. It might have been Gansey. Yeah, I think it was Gansey. He went off. You went off. You had 20 in that game, including 7 out of 12 shooting, including 3 3-pointers. That was a really super badly needed game. I remember it specifically, right?
Yeah.
That was like Saturday night game, and you get that W. Now things get real interesting. because you lose to BC. Keep that in mind. You lose to BC 62-50 at their place.
Mm-hmm.
Come back home. All right. I think one of the most memorable games as far as impact and significance was February 5 that season against Pitt at home. Place is absolutely jammed. You guys coming off a loss at BC, badly need a win. It's Pitt. What else do you have to say? There's a scramble for a loose ball, far side across from the Mountaineer bench. Pittsnogle's just kind of standing around, not in the pile. Ball rolls out to him,
Right,
and he dunks it.
Picked it up and dunked it. Yeah, right.
and the roof lifted from the Coliseum. It was like, and that started you guys on an unbelievable run. Did I set it up good enough for you to go ahead now, Brad?
Now let Tyrone go. I want to hear what we are to this point. Then you still got to set the Big East tournament. But go ahead at this point. At this point, you're saying what as the season's unfolding?
Oh yeah, that was a very interesting game because during that week, I think Dior got sick, and Kevin started that game, and man, Kevin came up real big for us. I think Kevin had like what
27.
27.
Yeah, he had like I think he had like a Dr. Sky hook from the 3-point line game, hook from that something like that too.
That was at Pitt.
That was at Pitt.
Yes, that was at Pitt. But you're right. It was darn near a 3-point hook shot. You're exactly right.
Yeah,
at Pitt,
right.
far end.
But, But I think that was definitely a big game that we actually needed. But I like mentally and for going to the tournament because it gave us our edge back. Like, all right, okay, let's get back on track. You know what I'm saying? Because Pitt, that was a very good Pitt game and team. So I think getting that win at home definitely boosted our ego going down the stretch on rest of the games in Big East.
Yeah. That game you're talking about against Pitt, same season at their place. If you remember, Peterson Event Center was relatively new at that point.
Right.
People didn't go in there and win, and the world champion Mountaineers were getting pounded. You were down 10 at halftime. It was even worse than that in the second half. And then Pittsnogle out of nowhere takes a jump hook from the right wing. That's what it was.
Near the 3-point line. Yeah. Tyrone's right. That was deep.
It took a jump, and it was like, whoa. And you guys won that. You guys won that game 70-66. And it's those. Let me ask you this. So Mountaineer fans and Pitt. It's a rivalry that goes beyond words and years. Did you have real, true dislike for them, or was it just a rivalry? In other words, were there guys on that Pitt team that you just got sick and tired of being sick and tired of, or did you get along?
Oh, me and Carl Krauser go at it all the time. Yeah. I mean, it was
Krauser?
I mean, first it was I actually know nothing about it until I actually felt the hatred or I hated them until the last game my freshman year when I felt like a dust mop, the way I kept hitting the floor. Every time I went to the hole and they just stepping across me, I was like, oh, yeah, I really don't like these guys. Yeah. So I think just it was a build-up to the fact that to my senior year, actually my first time beating Pitt at Pitt.
Yeah, Krauser was running it. Krauser was always running his mouth, wasn't he?
Oh man, all the time. But I mean, I enjoyed it. You know what I'm saying? It made the game winning more exciting, more fun for me. So
I'll never forget that Pitt game at the end of your freshman year, our last game of the season. You're exactly right. Not only did they punch us, they kicked us. Jonathan, if you remember, Jonathan Hargett got knocked down. One of the Pitt players went over to help him up, and he wouldn't take his hand. And the place just went.
Was that the final game at Fitzgerald Fieldhouse? It was, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. That game, that's at the tone right there.
All right, go ahead, get to it. Now we're in New York. High hopes here for the Big East tournament. High hopes going into New York. This is going to be great. This is a good West Virginia team. Here we go. Well, hold on.
Okay.
What?
Wait
Tyrone?
Wait a second.
We got a problem with Tyrone.
You need to go back Saturday, March 5th, last game of the regular season at Seton Hall. That game still pisses me off to this day.
Yeah, we lost that.
Yeah, 66-63. I was so pissed. I'm on the bus, and Jeff Neubauer, and he looks at me, and he goes like, "Well," I said, I said, we're on the frickin' bubble, and we lose at Seton Hall. I said, what are we doing? We just lost. We just blew our chance. He went like, no, we'll be all right. I said, oh, man. He said, no, we'll be. I said, we just lost to Seton Hall. I mean, Seton Hall.
That's Newbar, yeah. Because, I was pissed, too, because it was like a month before we played them. We beat them at the house. We beat them there, and we ended up dropping that last game there.
Yeah, so I was really mad, and Newbar goes, no, we'll be fine. So that sets us up now to the Big East tournament. And you guys go in there, and you have to win games. It's one of those deals. It's not like just win a game. You have to win games, and you're cool. You go out there, you play well, you get 16 in the game. Pittsnoggle had 24, and you win the game 82-59. And so, okay, got it done. Maybe that's going to be good enough. Maybe it won't be good enough. Then the very next game, the next day in the afternoon, the 7th-rated team in the nation, the team that just beat you a couple weeks earlier at their place, Boston College, we're on the bus, parked on the side of the hotel there at the Roosevelt, right? Everyone's getting on the bus. Everyone's getting on the bus. Mm-hmm. Everyone's getting on the bus. Hey, this guy's walking by. Hey, what's up? Hey, man, what's up? Hey, hey, everyone. Hey, where's Tyrone? He's not coming. What do you mean?
What do you mean he's not coming? Need to win the game here. What do you mean he's not coming?
He's got the flu. Newbar walks down. Newbar walks down the aisle. Newbar, hey, what's up, man? What's going on? What's going on? I give him the look again. Same look I gave him a week earlier, right there. I'm going like, he goes, I said, what are you going to do? What do you want to do without Tyrone? He goes, hey, we'll be fine. He said, I'm going to start Frank. And like we're going to play pickup over at the rec, right? We're going to the rec center. We're going to play.
He was nonplussed, not worried about. Right?
We'll be all right. Tyrone might come over later. He said, well, we're going to put Frank.
Glue guy, most versatile guy on the team, the leader, not going to play. We're fine.
Well, we're fine. Yeah, we'll get it done. We'll get it done. And so you do go to the game, but your head is in your hands. You're on the bench in your head. So you got
whole game.
Yeah, you were done, huh?
Yeah. Oh my God. That morning, when I tell you I felt like I got hit by a truck, I don't know what was going on with me. Because I remember it was me and JD staying in the room. And JD kept telling me to get up. And I think I turned over to him, and he looked at me and just took 3 steps back like, oh, all right, I'm going downstairs. So I knew I was in bad shape. So eventually I ended up getting myself together to come downstairs, but I'm just out of it. I don't know what happened or whatever.
Yeah.
So I get almost to the ballroom, and I see the bathroom, and I went in the bathroom, and I just made a whole crime scene in there. It was awful. Like I couldn't get to the toilet. I couldn't get. I'm talking about it's all on the ceiling. It's on the wall. It was just bad. It was just bad to the point I just went upstairs and just laid down. I ain't want nothing to do with life.
It was a crime. It was a crime. He called it a crime scene. He said it was a crime scene.
A crime scene. Yeah, a crime scene.
Oh.
So I went upstairs, and Doc came and checked on me and everything, and I was like, yeah, we about to go to the game. You think you can go? I was like, Doc, I can't move. So I'm laying down, and he turned on the TV, and I was like, oh, the game about to start. I love Doc. I told Doc, I got to get to the game. I got to play. He looked at me like, kid, are you crazy? You can't play. I said, Doc, we got to get to the game. So we end up taking a cab to the game.
Wow.
I'm got dressed and everything I'm walking through the crowd and everything. Everybody like, yo, why is this WB player walking through the crowd? Why he ain't on the floor? So I finally get down to the floor, and I just lose it. I go run to the bathroom, throw my life up in there. And then after that, I came back to the bench. I tried to watch the game, but it just seemed like everybody's like, why is everybody running so fast? Like everything's moving so fast out here.
Yeah.
So I hit Randy again, like, yeah, I got to go in the back. So by the time I get back there, I end up passing out. And the only thing I remember is when I woke up, it was a lot of lights and a lot of faces around me. And my mom was right there. I was like, oh, man, I died. I died.
Wow.
What is going on?
Oh, wow.
What is going on? And then I just felt myself shaking. And I just noticed they put an IV in me because I was dehydrated. So all the cold water would just had me shaking. So my mom's freaking out. She grabbed me like, what's wrong with him? Somebody do something. He having a seizure. So I'm trying to tell people to calm my mom down. People are holding me down. So eventually everything calmed down. I was set. So I end up trying to go watch some more of the game. That wasn't gonna work. So I ended up going back in the locker room, just trying to sleep it off. But yeah, that whole day was crazy.
Oh my gosh. How about
Yeah,
so you
it
woke
was
So
up?
that's
crazy.
in the back of the garden. You're at the garden that whole time, but just feeling
Oh
like
yeah,
death.
yeah. Because if you watch towards like the end of the Boston College game, you can actually see me like look like I'm about to pass out on the bench. I'm
Yeah.
like my hand is all in my head.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was just crazy.
How about you thinking that you looked up and all you saw was lights and your mom, you thought you died?
Yeah, I thought it was over. I thought my life was flashing. I thought I was somewhere else. I saw my mom. I was like, oh, how's my mom here? Like, what? How in the world did she get here? And so then, and then I just felt myself shaking. I was like, oh man, yeah, this is it's over now. But then when I started looking at my arm, I saw it was an IV, and it just pumped me for fluids and everything, so I was dehydrated. So
Oh wow. I never knew the
yeah,
detail on that one.
yeah, it was a lot.
Did you have any idea that while you were getting sick and almost, going down here, that you were up by 22 at halftime over BC? 44-22 was the halftime score.
Yeah, well, at first when I could actually still follow the game a little bit, I saw how we was going to run, and I just seen how Frank Young was just going off, and I wanted to get up and cheer so bad, but I felt like something real bad was going to happen if I did, so I
Yeah.
just stayed in my seat and cheered them on. But what people don't realize, I mean, the reason that people weren't shocked when Frank was input in the lineup or what he was doing, because I mean we seen this every day in practice. I mean Frank didn't just wake up that day and just became a good player. Frank was always a good player. So he just it was hard to get in minutes being a young guy like that. But that's the type of team we had. When your number was called, be ready, and he took advantage of that opportunity.
Yeah. He rang it up that day, and played extremely well, hits for double figures. And then so that's a massive win because that's BC's last ever game in the Big East, because they had announced that they
Right.
were going to the ACC, and everyone in the Garden's cheering for West Virginia because they're bummed out that BC is leaving.
And remember chanting, the whole garden chanting ACC. At the end of that? I mean, that'll
ACC.
live as one of my top 5 all-time memories, is them screaming ACC. The whole garden, because it was a packed house.
Oh,
then.
yeah.
A lot of times afternoon games you don't get
yeah.
that. It was a packed house chanting ACC at BC as they're getting hammered.
Yeah. So then the next day is the Villanova game. West Virginia is into the semifinals for the first time in school history. Semifinal Friday at the Garden in the Big East tournament is just one of the great events of all time, because you now have got it down to 4 teams, and the city pays attention, and you're on the billboard, and it's the big deal, and the lights are on, and the spotlights come on, and the lights go off, and it's just you go like, whoa, this is a little bit different than a regular game. You're still not well. You ended up playing 10 minutes in the game. Frank started again. Frank played well again. 5 Mountaineer starters all finish in double figures. One of the all-time great wins. So give me your take there. You're feeling physically better. What are your memories of the game?
Well, actually, I was feeling mentally better, and I was hyping everybody else. Like, yeah, I can play. I'm good. Knowing I can't play. Like, I can't play. But I just wanted the guys to know that whatever it took, if I only could get in for 2 minutes, just to show that I was okay and I'm here, like, we're going to get through it. That's what I want to do. So that was more of a leadership type approach I was taking, more than me actually trying to help the team on the court, trying to win.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a fun game to watch. I know that for sure, because everybody keeps saying that Pat passed Mike the ball. I mean, thank God for Mike on that play. That's all I can say.
Wait.
What
What do you mean by that? What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
What I mean?
Yeah,
I
what do you
mean,
mean, Tyrone? What do you mean?
we can go with Patty Patty passing that ball to Mike, but others basketball guys would say otherwise.
You think that's West Virginia? You think that's West Virginia's version of Derek Wittenberg's shot in the championship game, where it kind of got taken out of the air there a little bit? You think?
Yeah, that definitely goes up there in that box.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, I would think so. Were you on the floor or you were on the bench when Mike made the 2 free throws?
Oh no, I was on the bench. I had probably the best view in the building.
How about that? Speaking of great memories? Everyone's on their feet inside the Garden. Yeah. The entire place is standing up. Gansey goes to the line.
That was a fun game.
Silence. So
I still have good feelings when I see Pat Driscoll walk into the arena as the official. I still think, okay, West Virginia's going to be good.
That was a good call. That was the right call.
Perfect call.
That was the right call. So then you guys basically make it to the championship. You run out of gas, didn't you?
Yeah. I mean, including the travel, the hard. I mean, we weren't playing. We were playing good teams, and we were going down to the stretch. So I think we just run out of gas. I mean, give all credit to Syracuse. I mean, Syracuse is Syracuse. They had definitely a good team in there. But I mean, for everything we went through from the travel, to go back to that Boston College game after we left, go back to the hotel. I just wanted to go to sleep. I ended up getting stuck on the elevator for like 2 hours.
I remember. Yeah, we talked about that with Coach Beeline. Yeah.
We had to go through that. It was a lot stressful. You know what I'm saying? You got to tip your hat to our guys because after we just kept fighting and fighting. I mean, we know it was at stake. We just wanted to make sure that it was a guarantee that we was gonna get in that tournament. We had to do everything we had. We scratched and claw and bite and did everything we could. We just came up short at the end.
Yeah. Well, it was 4 straight games, 4 days, 4 straight games. You played BC was number 7 in the country. Nova was 19. Syracuse was 16. They end up winning the game 68-59. Now, finally, we're here. NCAA tournament. Right. Go ahead.
Let's go. Well, that Creighton game still goes down as one of the most fun all-time, really great games. But I think it gets underrated a little bit because what was to come after you got that win. I just want to fast forward all the way to the end of that because I think your dunk goes down as one of the most iconic plays in WVU basketball history, not just for the finish and the way it won the game, although I know Creighton had one final shot, but the way that ball got up the floor, Tyrone, that was textbook on that it goes from, is West Virginia going to win this? What's happening? Oh, my God, West Virginia just won the game. Your memories of that Creighton game and that play at the end to get the win.
Oh, I think I want to say we in the zone. I think because I actually got matched up on Funk on that play. I think I was actually going down to dig down, and I felt the ball going to get kicked out. So I tried to act like I was coming down, and it got to him. And when I saw him have a clear look, I was like, if I don't get a fingertip or a fingernail on this ball, is going in. And I know when I get it, I'm just taking off. So I felt the ball graze my finger a little bit. So I like, oh yeah, it's going to be short. So my first thought was I'm going to take off. And I looked over my shoulder and I seen Kevin caught it and he outletted the mic and Mike hit me in a full sprint out there. And when I was just running, just looking back and seeing the ball coming. And I was like, wherever I catch this ball at, I'm just going to jump and turn around and try to dunk it. So when I did, I actually got off balance. And when I came down and dunked it, I actually twisted my ankle on the play. I don't know if people know that, but then it's a drill that we do every day in practice called perfection. Like when we had passing the ball and the ball cannot hit the ground. So, things like that, it helps us during the end. And it's a perfect fast break play. You couldn't draw it better than that.
Isn't that amazing? So, okay, let's digest this because there's a lot of things that just were said there that I think in the moment the casual fan went, man, a lot of that went right. That worked out well. That was good. That was lucky. You just broke down a bunch. Like, so in the moment, in the heat of the action happening, you're thinking, I got to get a hand on this. And when I do, not if I do, when I do, I've got to release and get down the other end. That's number one. That's amazing to me that in the moment you're thinking that. Number two is we were just showing, if you're watching the video portion of this podcast, we were showing the play again. The fact that as soon as Pittsnoggle got it, there was no hesitation. He immediately outlet. I mean, the speed at which all of those things had to take place for you to get the other end, and you had to watch the clock too, right? I assume you were looking up at the clock as you're going in to know to release it in time. That's a lot on one play.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, because like I said before, it's a drill that we do perfection where we had to go through a course of 3 or 4 drills in a certain amount of time, man. If you don't get it, you got to start all over. I mean, when you first did the drill, I mean, it was times that it took us almost like 30 to 40 minutes to finish it, when it was supposed to only take 8 minutes. And you got to be moving. So I think stuff like that prepared us for moments like that. Like, you only might have that moment one time the whole year, but stuff like that you practices all year. So when it happens, it looked like it's natural.
Yeah, and it won the game. Yeah, that's really good right there. That's really good. That dunk, the finish on that dunk for you is one of the all-time great pictures. I think that picture has got to be one of the most popular in the last 30 years of Mountaineer basketball. I think people that have man caves and Mountaineer shrines, and they're either in their office or in their house, they've got that picture of that finish on that dunk, and it kind of just says everything. And then they still get the ball back, and you know who's going to get the shot, right? I mean, it's
My man Funk. Yeah, man. I mean, the whole thing was don't foul the shooter. Don't foul the shooter and find Funk. That's the whole mindset coming out the timeout. And I'm trying to think I think it was Michael or Joe that got a good hand on it, but a little to the left, or he left a little off. I mean, we could be talking about a whole different situation right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was similar to Gordon Haywood at the championship game in the NCAA tournament.
Same, just went off the rim.
Same exact thing. Yeah. I mean, same exact kind of a play, same side of the floor and everything. And so that leads us to, so now not only did you get to the tournament, you won a game in the tournament. So we're going like, okay, this is good. This is good. And here come the Demon Deacons of Wake Forest. What are your memories leading up to that game? Did you know any of those guys from Wake in advance? Had you ever crossed paths with them? Obviously, you knew of them. You knew of Chris Paul.
Right. Well, going into the game, all the hype was, back then that Wake Forest is the number 5 first seed in there. They could easily been the number 1 seed in that tournament, but I never ran across any of them till later. Like, me and actually Tyrone Downey actually played professionally one year together. So before then, I didn't know none of them guys. I mean, the team featured Chris Paul, but I mean, you got some good guys. I mean, you had a Justin Gray, Levy.
Yeah.
I mean, Big Dog, E. Williams, Strickland. I mean, that team was fully loaded with talent.
Oh, dude, how about Eric Williams? He scared he scared me, man.
Yeah, he had a game that night too. He was a beast.
He scared me now.
Yeah, he definitely gave us problems down there. He was definitely.
Did you when you went into that game, how did John sell that game to you guys? What was his pitch to you guys? Okay, you guys can win this game. Here's what you need to do. Did you have any of those moments?
It was mostly of, if we keep the game close, anything can happen. Like, if we control the pace of the game, we definitely have a shot, because we know that we couldn't run up and down the court with them. There was no possible way. That's what we doing all year. But we know we can have them in a half court. We could have a chance to win. Cause I mean, we didn't play. I mean, so-called talent that Wake Forest had, but we played against teams that look similar to them. Like, we played Georgetown, Syracuse. So we was familiar playing that type of talent. It just imagine how the ball bounced, and lucky for us, it bounced our way. But talking about a game, that game feel like it lasted like 5 hours.
Oh, man. It was a Saturday night special, man. It went double overtime. You were down 13 points at halftime. Do you remember what was said at halftime, and do you remember any significant changes that allowed you guys to come back?
I mean, coming to halftime, I mean, anybody know Coach B to play for him. He comes in with the mentality like, all right, guys, you're right there. We got what we want them. At first when you hear it, you looked at each other like, yo, this man is really crazy. Like, he must ain't look at the score before he came in here. But that's one thing that Coach Beeline was great at. He was great at making adjustments, building confidence, and going into the strategy was just contain the fast break and take good shots. So that's what we did. We got out there. We started taking our time. We started taking advantage of the backdoor cuts more. We started getting like little open shots, and he started opening the floor a little bit more wider. Like he had allowed me to go ISO a couple of times. That kind of created some wrinkles in there, and after that, we just started playing the flow of the game.
Tyrone, we often said back then, I mean, it certainly bears itself out in the results and how you guys did, and even after you left, how they did in tournaments. But we always had the mindset that you guys were so tough to prepare for, that you were really at your best in tournament settings, that sometimes that grind of the Big East, as you got into January and February, teams had seen it so they could adapt a little bit. But open that thing up in tournaments, and you were a handful. Did you guys ever think that way? Did you agree with that? Was that ever something that crossed your mind, or you were just out there playing and that wasn't part of the narrative?
Oh, absolutely. I think it definitely gave us advantage of that because honestly, you didn't know how to prepare for us because during the year, I mean, even on our part, it was frustrating for us because it seemed like every week we was learning new plays and we ran different strategies for everybody. So, but thinking back on it, it was a definitely smart strategic move because every game it looked like we played the same way, but it was different options being presented. So it was hard to prepare that. I mean, your average coaching trying to prepare for West Virginia in a 24-hour span, I mean that's almost impossible because we ran so many sets and different options to it. So I think going into games, it definitely gave us an advantage.
And then you throw in a 1-3-1 defense that people don't see often, and then that was just problematic for people as well.
Oh God, I love that 1-3-1. I mean,
do you guys play it in high school?
oh yeah, we actually imitated it this past year, and it definitely threw guys off out here because it's not it's not your traditional 1-3-1. It's spread it out to half court, and it's more of a drive and trying to make people drive and think you got lanes and everything. But we only ran it one way in high school, as in with West Virginia, it was 2 to 3 types of forms you can run it actually.
Yeah. Well, you guys were changing the slides all the time.
Oh, absolutely, and I used to love it.
Yeah. I mean, I remember sitting in meetings during the tournament, and you guys go, "How do you want to do this? Which way you want to do this? Should we do this? What do you think? Yeah, okay."
Right.
Literally changing it up to the minute.
Right, because I mean, as you know, like with me playing a four, we wasn't that bulky type team. We not going to out rebound nobody. I mean, to put that out there, I think we probably like one of the worst in the country, if not the worst. But with our length and our chances and the way we shot the ball, it still gave us a chance to win games. So to the point where we're gonna match your two, but you gotta match our three. So it kind of worked out in our favor sometimes.
Yeah. When you took good care of the ball, you only had 11 turnovers in 50 minutes of basketball in that Wake Forest game. Think about
Yeah,
that.
yeah, you definitely had to play a perfect game to beat them guys.
Yeah. You had a good game, man. You had 21 points on the night. You almost perfect from the field. You were 7 of 8 overall, 2 of 2 from 3, 5 of 5 hit the foul line, and you got 38 of those minutes in here. When we had Coach Beeline on, he's still happy on the Dior backdoor cut to you in that game. He loves that. He still loves that play.
Oh man, see, people, that's another thing with Dior, like just being so talented. He was probably the most underrated passer on our team because Dior can actually pass very well. So that was the perfect guy for to make that play right there.
Yeah. He had himself a game. He was 15 and 10 in that game with 3 blocks.
Oh
And
yeah,
what a game, dude. Wow.
yeah.
Do you
Everybody.
realize that's considered one of the all-time, that's a top 5 game in school history?
Yeah, it's crazy because they actually be showing it sometimes on the ESPN Classic. I mean, I be having guys call me all the time when they be coming on TV like that.
Hey, I'm watching you play. What are you talking about? Yeah, I'm watching you play.
Right,
Yeah, right.
right.
All right. And then, because this is another game, I think the Texas Tech game's another game that kind of just gets moved aside because it's sandwiched.
Underrated, yeah.
Right? Sandwiched between the great Wake Forest win and the devastating gut punch loss to Louisville. So you go in, you get Bobby Knight and the Texas Tech Red Raiders in Albuquerque. You win that game to advance to the Elite Eight. You're thinking at that point, are you thinking Final Four? You just thinking, here's what's next? Mindset at that point.
At the time, it's all right. Next game. You know what I'm saying? So is in the back of your head, it's like, okay, we might got a shot. We might got a shot, but the way we are playing and the mindset is just next game. we took the same approach that we took to the Big East, and we took it and ran with it when we got to the tournament. So our main focus was playing Wake Forest, playing Creighton, playing Texas Tech. Because, I mean, Texas Tech was no slouch. I mean, Bobby Knight had them guys ready to play. They played hard, aggressive. They get in your face, and that was a tough game. So that's the one thing I can say about a tournament. You can never look too far ahead because you can be out just in a second off one play. So,
which I always thought, Tyrone, your collective mental approach to that game to be able to come back down to earth after Wake Forest and take care of, as you just said, a very good Texas Tech team. I always thought that was an under-discussed part of that run. That was really good collective mental fortitude there to be able to get that win.
Absolutely, because coming in, like we didn't have the so-called 5-star guy or the main feature guy. I mean, we was all collected. I mean, we had Mike Gansey and Kevin Pitchnoggle. They was getting a lot of media attention, but at the time, nobody was worrying about that. It was like picking your guy up and let's go to war.
That was a tight game, 32-32 at halftime. You guys outscored them 33-28 second half. You win it by 5. 65-60 is the final score. Playing inside that building is always a treat because it's so different and unique, and people know that the sound just rolls in there. So that sets us up to the Louisville game, and I don't know which way you want to go on it, but when I bring it up, what comes out when you think about it?
That my heart dropped. I still think about that game to this day. How we were, I think, we up like 17, 18 points at one time.
Yep.
And I think it's another situation where, we just ran out of gas. I think because the first 10, 15 minutes, I mean, we couldn't miss nothing. I mean, I think Pat Beeline pulled up from half court one time and hit a three. It seemed like. And at the time you think all right, everything's rolling. The other foot got to drop sometime. But get your hats off to Regino and his crew. I mean, they came out, they did what they supposed to do. But that game still haunts me to this day.
Well, you're right. You were there. I mean, that's there. All right, now be honest. Be honest. There had to be at some point during that game, you are rolling. There had to be some moment where you let your mind slip and say, all right, we're Final Four. I'm going to make Final Four. I'm going to be in Final Four here. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You said it to yourself, right?
I actually, because I actually was struggling in the beginning. I think that's I was sitting down and I was watching the game. I'm like, yo, we really got a shot to get there. But it's like you said, it's kind of hard not to so-called think ahead when you're playing that well, and the way things was going for us the past month and a half. It was almost like it was destiny for us to get there.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just a proven fact that you got to finish where you at the moment.
I would say, without putting words in your mouth, most difficult loss of your entire career, high school, college, or pro?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely, because it's to the point where, it was in our hands and it felt like it was taken away from us. At that point, it felt like we can control our own destiny, and somebody just took something away from you. Yeah. And that's just a feeling you can never get back.
And that was your last game. I mean, that ends your college career right there.
That definitely ended my career.
Have you gone back and watched it straight through?
It's hard. It's hard. I mean, one time I tried to, but I can't get through the whole thing. It's just a painful thing. I mean, I'm giving myself another couple of years try to, but no, it's one of them things that it hurts. It's gonna hurt for a while.
Yeah, I was gonna ask him the same question if you ever went back and watched it. The thing that a lot of Mountaineer fans don't know or realize, you played 9 years professionally. See, kind of like once you're not under the spotlight here, people kind of lose track. So where did your travels take you of 9 years, which is an amazing accomplishment to play professionally to begin with, and then to do it for 9 years? That's really good. So where have you been?
Well, I did my first 2 years in the actual it's called the G League now. I did that. Then after that, I played in Belgium, played in Spain, I played in Korea. I did 3 years out in the Netherlands. I played in Luxembourg, and I played in Hong Kong.
Wow, that's 6 different places, man.
Yeah, I was a journeyman.
That's some different environments too.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, yes. I mean, it definitely was a culture shock for me, especially when I went to Korea. I had to walk around with a translator everywhere and, get adjusted to the food. But for the most part, everybody have horror stories being over there. But my experience over there was overall, I could say, actually was good.
What'd you learn about yourself and what'd you learn about the world by seeing those places?
I learned independence. I learned being open. I learned how things are different, and some things are accepted. People accept things differently over there, and I learned different cultures. So but the one big thing I learned is with basketball in general is all play the same. Like you have the good way to play it, you had a bad way to play it.
You're a coach now, as I said earlier on, as an assistant level. Do you have the aspiration to be a head coach?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's the dream right there. I mean, the goal right now just keep getting better and better, and just keep improving myself in all aspects of my craft. And the goal is to try to move up much as possible. I mean, I want to be in college coaching, but I understand you got to take the proper steps to get there. So just to be prepared and ready for it for my time.
When the time comes, who were you coach like that you played for?
Hmm, that's a good question. I mean, I played for some good coaches, so I think it'd be more of me taking a little from everybody.
Yeah.
Like for example, like say what the West Virginia staff, I'd take definitely Coach Beeline mindset of how to be impatient, how to build confidence. I'm gonna probably take from Newbauer his, how the way he picks up the Manning, uh, his philosophy, how he so much concentrate on details. With Mike Jones, his player development. Matt Brown, his enthusiasm, how the way he just he's there to pick guys up, bring them in the office, just a little everything. So I was fortunate enough to be around staffs like that.
Yeah. Well, this has been good for me. I hope you enjoyed it, Tyrone, because as senator, I mean, this was kind of a cleansing for me. I felt like I'd just gone to a spa.
I'm
cleaned
glad we
everything.
finally got a chance to talk to him. Been a
I
long
mean,
time since we've talked to him.
yeah.
I appreciate it, man. Once everything gets settled, with everything going on, maybe we can hook up the studio or something like that, face to face.
Absolutely.
Deal. Open invitation.
Oh yeah.
Open invitation for you.
Oh yeah. You're
You
in.
just tell us when you're in, and you're here.
Yeah, you're
I
this.
love it.
This is kind of like organized crime. I mean, you're a made man. Once you're in, you're in. I mean,
I
yeah,
love it.
you're in. You're in for good. All right, my man. Listen, thank you so very, very much for your time. We really, truly do appreciate it. And stay safe and stay well. And hopefully, we'll get this COVID deal dealt with, and we'll be playing ball again.
Appreciate it. Likewise.
All right,
Thank you,
man.
guys.
You bet. Be good.
Thanks, Tyrone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
There he is, Tyrone Sally. As I said at the very start, one of the most underrated guys in Mountaineer history, played 121 games in his Mountaineer career, scored over 1,000 points, collected over 500 rebounds, and 221 assists, blocked 55 shots. His numbers he improved. First year he made 6 threes. Second year he made 25 threes. Third year he made 24. Fourth year 48. Right? There's that playing the 4 spot. There's John's 4 spot coming out there.
Great
Right?
stories, great stats, great player, but maybe more importantly than all that, really the thread that wove together Gail Catlett through the Dockage turmoil into John Beeline to the success that came. He's the one guy, when you go back, he weaves all of that together.
Think about that, man. So easy to say I'm out.
No. Multiple times.
Put a 40-pound
Multiple times.
Put a 40-pound plate on your legs and hold a 25-pound plate out in front of you for 30 minutes. Most kids would go like, yeah.
Yeah. If they weren't already gone before, that would be the breaking point.
That's the ultimate. We want you
and
gone.
Instead, he stays. Coach turns over, and he just says, all right, who's next? Who's coming in next to coaches?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Great story.
Yeah. Ready for some texts?
Sure.
Texts. Texter says, with the NCAA allowing jersey patches and the like, I'm wondering if game announcers like Tony, would feel pressure or maybe mandated for social awareness reasons to recognize the individual patches or statements. I'm thinking it may not happen today, but maybe someday. If it gets to that, I'm out. I'm not a fan of the cause patch. But if it has to be, I do like the idea of a children's hospital patient name on the jersey. All right. My initial thought on that, and I've not given that any thought at all, but I guess if what you're asking is, would I make comment to what the patches are? I would say yes, I will, because my job is to be your eyes and tell you what it is that I see. So yes. Now, I wouldn't make that the main story. The main story is where's the ball, what's the score, and how much time is left in whatever the game is. But I would make mention of it to do a better job to provide you exactly what the picture is about. Chris from Scott Depot, he says, I'm going random here. Love the podcast. How about a Skylar Howard interview? That would be good.
Yeah, great story.
A lot of issues there.
A lot of ups and downs. Yeah, like talk about a guy that grinds through.
Yeah.
Right? Ultimately ends up having some great success here.
Yeah.
He's still amazing. If you go back and look at the record books with where his name ranks in some categories, I think people would be blown away if you haven't done that recently.
10 wins.
10 wins. 10 wins, but go look at some individual
stats.
I know.
I'm saying, how many times has West Virginia won double figures in a season? And then, that'd be a good one. Thank you. That's a good one. He would like to nickname, also he's thrown in here, he'd like to nickname the Coliseum the Bears Lair. The Bears Lair. I like it.
That's good.
I like that.
Too bad it didn't come 10 years ago, though. Needed it when he first got here.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you've had a long run without it.
Yeah, it never took off, but when Coach Catlett was called the Cat House, that never seemed to really get
I never
groundswell of support.
Yeah, I don't think that ever caught.
His third thing is, I love the ESPN announcer podcast. Talking about Jason Benetti.
Yeah.
I've listened to it twice. Hope he's back on in the future. Yeah, we'd love to get to him as many times. He's now very busy.
Mm-hmm.
He's got his White Sox, among other things. But yeah, that was a good one. Next texter says, Tony and Brad, as always, this Three Guys episode was not only a dandy, it was a hoot. The runaway beer truck will forever be a part of Mountaineer lore. Peeing in the parking lot while you're on a worldwide podcast. Well, let's see how you top that in Madagascar. Hello. Owen rules. And Tony, I love you guys, but my enthusiasm is not a fatal attraction as much as it is the objective. Always the objective. After all, I spent 20 years in the U.S. Army Infantry. I love you guys, and I love the Mountaineers. Herb.
Love Herb. One of the all-time great listeners. You know what? It just hit me. We need to reverse some momentum on something as we prepare for the next episode. We have had the last two. Now, we went through 218 episodes. Didn't come up. This was never a problem, never an issue, never something we had to address. I feel like we got to address it now following what has transpired during this episode with Ty Sally. We need to reverse momentum on the bathroom issues that have developed over the last two shows. It's a troubling trend.
What are you talking about?
Well, Owen's thing was a whole debacle in and of itself, but Tyrone was some. I mean, I appreciate his candor, appreciate the transparency. That was a lot of information on the bathroom issue there prior to the Big East tournament game.
Oh,
I'm saying bathroom things have become a central issue in the last two episodes. I'd like to move on from that if we could.
Baby got a little gas.
I mean, Tyrone was very descriptive, which I love and appreciate. Except in that situation.
I had never heard when someone gets sick that you made the area a crime scene. Is that a new term, or did he just make that up? I love it. I mean, I want to use it in the future. What do you think?
I don't know.
Had you ever heard anyone use it?
I haven't, but you're absolutely going against what I just asked to do and move on from that topic of conversation. You're diving further into it, which I'd prefer not to do.
Oh, I'm all in on it. I'm not going to go away from it. I think, that was unbelievable stuff from Tyrone.
It was great. That's what I'm saying. It was great detail and candor.
No, I'm not just talking about that part of it.
Oh.
The fact that he thought he passed away and he's looking up in the lights and he sees faces and his mom, he thought he passed away at Madison Square Garden, thought he was gone.
While the rest of us are just screaming ACC at Boston College, just giddy with the win. The poor guy's in the back. He doesn't think he's alive.
Exactly. How about that one?
Wondering how his mom got next to him.
He gave us some great inside stuff there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what you want from those guys, because you know the surface story. He was sick, couldn't play. I mean, right? You were on the bus, came down, he wasn't there, unavailable. Frank Young does great. You beat Boston College. That was a great second layer to that story.
Yeah.
And obviously a good positive ending that he came back, but goodness gracious.
Well, I thought you were bringing it up because Owen Schmidt had a situation on the last show.
Well, he did.
That people are talking about.
I know people are talking about it. They're probably going to be talking about this from Tyrone Sally, too, and I'm saying that's fine.
Owen's relatively young. I don't know why he would not be able to hold himself. I mean, we only had him on for an hour and 20 minutes. I mean, I could see a guy that's like 77, not be able to hold himself, right? And did Owen not think that he could say, hey, guys, I need to take a timeout here? I mean, he's a sports guy. He could have called a player timeout.
Well, no, he was right. I mean, you would have lost your mind if he would have just said, guys, I need to just hit pause here. I got to go use the restroom.
I would have been all right with that, but instead he goes stealth on us. We hear rattling. We hear doors opening, jiggle nothing. And then we're thinking, well, we think it's our equipment because that equipment has not worked well. However, it worked perfect today for Tyrone. So we're thinking we got an equipment issue. We're ready to land the plane. I mean, wheels are down. We're coming down to touchdown, and all of a sudden he resurfaces. We take it back up, right? And we go oh, and what's the problem? Oh, dude, I really had to pee.
See, I go the other way. I think it was a tremendous job by him to just solve the problem. He had a problem in a situation, didn't want to bail on us, wanted to be a good teammate to us, and power through. How am I going to fix this? How do I handle this? He just handled it.
Yeah.
I thought it was a tremendous job. I just do what you got to do to handle the situation.
Well, yeah, I mean, he did. I mean, we learned two things. We learned, number one, that Family Dollar does not have public restrooms, and number two, that a Starbucks venti cup can hold it.
Yeah. I give him a lot of credit.
Yeah. Good thing they didn't go for a small. Good thing he went venti. Last text in. I think Skylar Howard would be a great guest. 2 Skylar Howards in the same show.
All right. It's on the list.
He says one of the most underrated players in WVU history. Would be cool to hear about his Japanese football career. Yeah, I mean, however, with that being said, I think we need to have, and you are listeners out. Oh my gosh, we're at 132, an hour 32. Man, what else we got to do? Got nowhere to go, nowhere to be, no games to play. We need to have one of our public meetings that you get all bummed out of when I just have open meetings about the show and what we're going to do next. He gets all bummed out. He thinks these should not be on the air. I think the listener is the third part of the show. They're the third guy, right? They're the third guy. That's really, right? You're our big buds. So we need to have one of these open meetings.
Okay.
What is the date? August 10th? So normal Mountaineer football practice started today. But obviously
started today as we record this. This may be out on a Wednesday.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it started today. We're recording on Monday. So we are now in that transitional period where we're going to make a determination as to what we're going to do. Now, we're not going away. Trust me. We're still going to, hell, we could be doing your lawn. We might kind of on Saturdays, hey, Brad and Tony are here to cut the grass again. We might be doing that. Got nothing else going on. So we need to make a call as to whether we continue to do interviews or if we also do 2 shows a week and just do news stuff. Because regardless of what happens, either we play and then we do our regular deal. We prepare, we talk about games, we play games, we review games. That would be just freaking awesome if we were able to do that.
That'd be great.
Chances are it's a heavy lean. It's a heavy lean that it's not going that direction. To use a recruiting term. Yeah, it's not going that direction. But even if that happens, then the next story becomes, okay, what now? They're just not going to stop and kids just disperse.
And go silent.
Right.
There's still news happening every day.
They're still going to practice. They're still going to have to get ready. Is there a spring season? When's the spring season? How are you going to do the spring season? And with basketball, as everyone knows, Basketball always starts 4 days after football nowadays, right? They practice year-round. So what are you going to do for basketball? So all of these questions still have to be discussed, and we can do interviews. So to the point.
So you weren't really asking anything there. That you were just kind of throwing out what the thought process is from us right now. That we'll be here in some form, just don't know what the subject's going to be, and it may be weaving in and out of those things. We may do one episode that's a news topic. We may interview during a week. May release 2 a week. Is that what you're saying?
We might, yeah. I mean, we got to at some point we got to bring Hoppy Kirchenbaum back in here because he's always interesting. But he's on like his 6th vacation. How did he work that? I mean, COVID thing, like he could take 6 weeks.
He's got a lot of seniority.
Yeah, that's true. He does. That's true. Solid point. So he'll be back next week. We'll figure it out. I also think it again out loud here on the air when you probably should just be having this conversation off the air. We also need to do another survey, right?
Okay.
I think we need to figure out what our listeners are thinking. They can hit us on text. I'll tell you this, we're going to do a survey. We'll do a survey. But also, if you hit us up on the text line, and I've got no idea what the number is, so if our producer, Daniel Woods, could put it, it's 304-440, I think. Daniel, do you have that out there? If you could put that up on the screen, that helps me a ton. But anyway, there it is. 304-404-4083. 304-404-4083. 304-404-4083. Just, what are you thinking? What do you want to do? It's your show. Seriously. Does me no good. Does him no good if we come on here and talk like what we want to talk about. I want to hear what you want to talk about. Now, obviously, it helps tremendously if what you want to talk about is what we want to talk about. That's the whole part of the whole deal.
Should you start the show with this discussion?
No.
Because what do you think happens when the interview ends? This is kind of like the credits. You know, you sit there during the credits are rolling. People still listening?
Mm-hmm. Okay, good point to your question. The people that are still listening right now are the people that I want to satisfy the most. These are what we call in the radio business, these are the absolute P1s. Like they're going to listen until the last beat of music's over with.
Love them.
So these are you guys are the heart. You're the artichoke heart. You're not the leaves. You're the heart of the artichoke. So that's why I think we can have these conversations. Plus our listen through rate is off the chart.
It's really high, right?
Super high.
Yeah.
Like people consume over 90% of our shows, which is a staggering number compared to the national averages. So we're really super happy about that. All right. Tell you what, this show has gone so long that you could have bought an RV at Burdett Camping Center and driven it from Winfield to Morgantown. You'd be up here right now. Hey, who's out on the lawn? It's Phil from Burdett Camping.
He's outside. I left when the show started. I'm already down and back with my new RV. Here it is. You want to see it?
Tell you what, socially distant, this is the best thing. CBS News had a big report on it yesterday. How RV sales have gone off the chart because this is the way to stay socially distant.
Makes sense.
You know the one thing about RVing, Brad? You don't have to have just one view for your whole life. Like some people buy a house, vacation house. That's the one view they get.
Right.
RV, you go wherever you want. You can change your scenery every single day. Burdett Camping Center, they are the people. They can put you in an RV, can fix your RV, you name it, they can do it at burdettcamping.com. Serving Mountaineer fans across West Virginia and beyond. We're in Welch, Martinsburg to Matewan, and all points in between. It is a great day to be driving a RV from Burdett Camping wherever you may be. Check them out at burdettcamping.com. All right, so a lot of stuff's going to happen by the time we come back on. We'll have probably a really super good idea if we're playing football in the fall or any fall sports at all by the next time we come on. We also reserve the right to have an emergency 3 guys before the game. Haven't done one of those since Dana left.
We haven't, but if there was one coming, it may be. Stay tuned this week.
Yeah. We might hit you up. Special super thanks to Tyrone Sally for his great insight for joining us. Special thanks to Daniel Woods, our producer in charge. For the Senator, we're out. Stay well. 3 guys before the game, brought to you by Burdett Camping.